Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I'm your host Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Jujutsu Kaisen continues to hit, literally.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of hitting going on in the show, isn't there?
There's a lot, and it's good. It's real good.
So we bounce around a lot in this one, as opposed to last episode, which, Joe, is my personal favorite episode of the series of all time. Maybe I'll put the Kanye clip in there, where he's just like,
JUJUTSU KAISEN.
Had one of the best videos of all time.
Anyway, this one, complete inverse of that. This one, you got a lot of different stuff going on, a lot of different characters. We got Mei Mei and the Tiny Child. We got Maki, Nanami, and Old Man Zenin. I don't know what his actual name is. I'm just going to call him Old Man Zenin. I think it fits. And then we have Fushiguro, surprisingly enough, and Fushiguro's old man.
Also an octopus boy.
Also an octopus boy, very good. He looks... Joe, you've seen Dragon Ball GT, right?
Of course.
Okay, Squid Boy. Does he not look like the dragons in GT?
Oh, yeah. Physique-wise, 100%. The only thing that changed is the face.
Yeah, he's just got like the Cthulhu-looking face. But I was looking at that, and I was thinking to myself, huh, you wouldn't look out of place in an episode of Dragon Ball GT, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
I will say, starting this episode off, I thought it was interesting starting with Mei Mei and the little boy whose name is Wee Wee, which I was like, oh, I hope Joe doesn't remember that name because he's going to hate it.
I did remember it, I just didn't want to acknowledge it.
And I was like, okay, is this going to be another full dedicated episode? No. We get some time dedicated to it. It's a cool little quick dive into Mei Mei's powers and what she can do in her relationship. Wee Wee is her little brother. And I was fully ready for him to just die in this episode. Like, that's how they were setting it up. He ends up living, and it is a pretty cool, just little mini fight with her and the smallpox curse. Leading up to now, it's looking like she's going to be fighting whoever is taking over Gato's body. I enjoyed this little bit in the front, and I also liked how it was quick, to the point, and we didn't spend too much time on it.
Yeah, I concur. The fight with the smallpox curse, I wasn't super invested in it, so the fact that we get it over and done with very quickly, really cool. Also, great to show off Mei Mei's abilities. I like how they do the little explanation. Yeah, if you just make a pact that you're gonna die, you can get a lot of power. It reminds me a lot of... You've never seen Hunter x Hunter, have you?
I have not.
Okay, so I won't say anything too specific, but there's a character in Hunter x Hunter that does something very similar with very little regard for their own life, and it's very dark, but very cool at the same time. So you have a little bit of that kind of spice thrown into this stew of a season we got going on here. But my favorite shot from this episode comes immediately after the fight concludes, when Mei Mei and Wee Wee, their parents... I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Anyway, they're back in the little subway area, and you just get the out-of-focus shot of Gato with his little... I don't know if it's a dragon or what it is, whatever the curse is, just encircling him as the light is flooding in from behind him. Oh, it's beautiful. It's on screen right now if you're looking at the screen. Look at it. Good. Okay, you can look away now. Really great shot. And I love the touch of what Gato says, where he's like, oh, not bad for a modern sorcerer, which implies this brain's been around the block for a long time.
Yeah, I like that little tidbit there. You definitely had to pick up on it. I also say visually, this whole episode continues to look great. The aesthetic is amazing, especially later when we get to freaking Hawaii and the beach. Oh my god. But the smallpox curse, its power in the domain, and how it's the quick cuts to the being in the coffin, then being underground, and then dying. I loved how that looked, and I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, very nice, very quick. And then we cut to Maki, Nanami, and Old Man Zenin. This was a pairing I didn't expect whatsoever. I figured Nanami would, he'd go out, try and find other people to pal around with, because he knew that the fight was only going to get harder. I don't know how. I guess Maki tagged along because she knew that her old man, or her great old... It's her grandpa, it's not her actual father. Old Man Zenin, he's been drinking. Nanami didn't know this, but it doesn't matter, because Old Man Zenin, he is a very high-functioning alcoholic, And also, he is a fan of animation. Joe, what did you think about Old Man Zenin just going off on one on Little Squid Boy as he was talking about animation and how people were like interpolating shit and how TV settings were set to on and how that's awful?
I loved it. I was like, wow, we're getting very meta here. This is pretty cool. And he was a character that, again, we didn't really get much of him, but I didn't really like the vibes. He's pretty cool, and he's fucking badass in this episode. His technique, very cool. The woman who we talked about last time who does the voiceover comes back again, and you get those red subtitles. So more and more, I want to know who this person is, but I don't think we're going to get that for a while. I think he's cool. I love his fighting style, and I loved this team approach. Just especially the different power levels between everyone and the different techniques kind of being displayed. And again, these are all side characters. They're not even like B-list side characters like Fushiguro and Nobara. This is like C-list, and it's still, you're so invested. It looks great. Oh god, Joe, I just loved the way this episode looked, especially when we get to the domain expansion.
Interesting. I liked bits and pieces of it, but I like overall the art style, art direction of this entire series, great. It's really, really good. I think this is like a step or two down from what was happening last episode, but I don't want to like hold the entire series to like the standards of like the one epic, because like the Choso Yuji fight to me is just, it blew my fucking mind with how insane that looked for like the entire duration of that episode. And this one, we bounce around a lot of different aesthetics. We have like the creepy haunted graveyard aesthetic in the beginning with Mei Mei and the smallpox curse. And then you go back to the subway shit with the end of the smallpox thing when they're facing off against Gato. And then you have like the more, I don't know, like subway station looking shit when they first start fighting the squid curse. And then, yeah, we go to Hawaii and everything. I need to go back and look and check, but it almost felt like even the line art was colored a specific way. But like the highlights of all the characters, the color tones of everything, completely different because now, you know, you're on a beach. The light works differently on a beach. There is sun here. There wasn't sun in the station, but it does look insane, especially the fish that come out later on with the attack that our squiddy boys got going on. Those guys, I didn't think they were too intimidating looking. And then they fuck up Old Man Zenin and Nanami. And I'm like, oh, those guys are probably really strong.
Yeah, there was definitely a good power dynamic in this episode where our squid guy, again, we're forgetting his name, but he starts off and we've seen him just kind of walking around with Gato, and you're like, who is this guy? We find out he was a cursed womb who then eventually fully turns into, you know, his final form. And he's pretty cool. I like him a lot. I also like the little bit of characterization to him where he's like, look, we have names. We're our own quote unquote people. Again, just little tidbits that are thrown in for Jujutsu Kaisen instead of it just being, ooh, it's the bad monster, which I really like. And yeah, his power, his speed, the way he hits, the use of the other fish, super cool. I love the way the domain expansion looks. And yeah, Nanami gets fucked up, man. His eyes bleeding shut, his one sleeve is off, and then you see Old Man Zenin loses an arm and he is pissed about it. I really love the girls in Jujutsu Kaisen. I think they're all really, really great characters for the most part, especially some of our main ones. I would say Maki for me is tied with Nobara for how much I like them. But I was so happy to see her, and again, she kind of gets fucked up for the most part. And I get it, she's not as strong as Nanami and Old Man Zenin, and you got to portray that power difference, but it just sucks seeing one of your favorite characters get fucked up.
Yeah, I'm hoping that these are planting seeds in these characters to be like, I want to be as strong as these people going on, because it does make sense that Maki would not be as powerful as Old Man Zenin or as Nanami, because again, they both have, number one, years of experience on her. In Old Man Zenin's case, generations of experience on her. And then also they have curse techniques, which, don't get me wrong, Maki is a fucking force to be reckoned with, especially when she's using her curse tools. But the fact that she doesn't have those curse techniques or any kind of cursed energy, it does seem to be like a type of ceiling for her. I would love to see how she could possibly work past that and like break into like a new type of thing, maybe be a little bit more similar to someone like, oh, I don't know, Toji perhaps. But that is yet to be seen. I'd like to see that though. It's like I agree with you. Maki, Nobara, kind of getting shafted going on right now. I'm hoping though they're getting shafted for a reason. That's a quote that probably shouldn't be said. But anyway, next thing that happens, Fushiguro comes blasting in like Team Rocket, but in reverse. I don't know where I was expecting Fushiguro to be. It wasn't here though. Last that we saw him, he was taking care of Beanie Boy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was taking care of Beanie Boy, and Nanami asks him that, like, how did you get here? And he's like, look, Yuji went off on his own. He says word for word, he's like, Beanie Boy tapped out.
Yeah.
So I saw something was going on here, came to help out, and look, Fushiguro is pretty damn strong. He's like, I'm going to use my domain expansion in here to try and fight it off so that they're kind of they have to focus and he's not going to be at full power. And Nanami's doing the math because he's really good at calculating things. He's like, okay, this works out. We have a chance. Fushiguro has other plans.
Yeah, he wants to get everyone out of there. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, this guy, he's no Gojo. He can't do this multiple times. So he's using his domain once we get out of here. He's got to get out, and then he's got no power left remaining, or at least severely diminished remaining. And then you have 4 Jujutsu sorcerers there to kick his fucking ass. So Nanami's like, that's a great plan. Everyone, get over here. Old Man Zen in retreat, Maki retreat. Squid Boy takes 1 second thinking, and of course he's like, oh, they're just trying to regroup to protect the guy over there. And then he realizes just in time, they're trying to escape. I can't let them do that. I love seeing Fushiguro using whatever, I don't remember if he has a name for his domain yet, but like the shadow inky stuff that kind of emits from him. Really cool aesthetic. I like it. I like how it's actually like actively fighting the water in the ocean, and then you just see the little hole appear. And I knew something was going to happen. Like I figured it would just be like Squiddy Boy would stop any of them, or maybe one of them from actually exiting out. In my head, it would be like, oh, it's going to be Fushiguro. He's going to make the sacrifice play, because they even set it up when Nanami was like, hey, boy, this ain't no sacrifice play. I want you out of here as well. And Fushiguro, to the writer's credit, he was like, yeah, no, I don't plan on just sticking around in here. And he's like, oh, okay, good. But so I figured he would get stuck there because Squiddy Boy. But something even crazier happens when a couple of hands start coming on through. And at first I was like, is this Yuji somehow? Like, are we going to get a flashback in the next episode seeing how maybe he comes back here? But it's not. Instead, it's something that you suggested a couple episodes ago, how they might meet up. Because it's Fushiguro's dad. Dear old daddy back from the grave. In someone else's body, but now it looks like his body.
It was so cool, and my jaw dropped. What a great way to end the episode. A perfect cliffhanger. And you see also on everybody else's faces, like, what? Someone's coming in. And I'm pretty sure, like, probably Nanami and probably Old Man Zenin know who Toji is. Like, they're probably like, what the fuck? So that's a shock to them. I wonder if Fushiguro, like, we get a little bit of, in the first couple episodes of the season, that, again, Toji wasn't the best dad, but I wonder, has Fushiguro ever met him? Does he remember what he looks like? Or is this going to be a, oh, hey, son? Like, I'm so interested to see how the interaction goes and what this means. Is Toji gonna just, like, kill the cursed spirit? I don't know. Again, a great way to kind of leave the episode. It's leaving you thinking, where is this going to go? Is he going to help them out? Is he going to fight them? Is this going to be pure chaos? Super excited with how all the different storylines in Shibuya Incident are crossing together really well.
Yeah, of all the people there, I would imagine Fushiguro has at least seen pictures of his dad, if he hasn't already, like, just seen him in general. Old Man Zenin definitely knows who he is, because Toji is a Zenin, isn't he? Like, he took his wife's name. That's why his last name is Fushiguro.
Yeah.
So, he definitely knows him. Nanami would definitely know of Toji. Maki is the only person that I could see not knowing who he is, but even then, she's also a Zenin, so I wouldn't be surprised if she also at least knew of him by reputation. I think most people are going to be like, oh, shit, and also, huh? Because you're supposed to be dead. Either way, I am very intrigued to see what's going to be happening next episode, because no matter who he's fighting, I don't care. It's going to look insane.
And no end credit scene for you, Joe.
Yes.
You got it all in time for this one.
Thank you. Thank Christ. I didn't want to have to throw in another spinning Ichigo. But before anything else, I do want to just, because we didn't like speak about it at all, Old Man Zenin's actual power, animation technique. I don't know what it's actually called. I'm calling it that. Really cool. I like it. I think he's got 12 or 24 frames for the second, like per second thing. I like how they explain it too, because like he can do anything within that 1 second of animation that he's got, but he can't course correct. And I'm like, that's so good, because like it has to actually make sense animation wise and like, you know, progression wise. And I was thinking to myself, like, that seems insanely overpowered. And it's like, it's not. Here's the limitations. It has to be something he can physically and conceivably do. And it has to fit within that animation time frame and like actually look like it makes sense. It's like, okay, that helps. So I just think that is a really cool thing. Also, the fact that someone, if they don't understand how the power works and they try and do something without thinking about it and they get stuck in a single frame, like they're an animation cell, that's also great. It's such a weird power, but it's done in a way that isn't stupid or like overkill. Kind of like how the imaginary guy in Bleach, where I was like, well, that power, he should be like the ruler of the fucking universe, because he could just imagine that and it would happen. Like, that's how that would work. And he didn't seem to have like any limitation on that. This is the inverse of that. This is like, well, you could have a lot of insane shit happen here, and it's like, no, there are rules. Here they are. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, his power was really thought out well and presented well too, because it's one of those things where you can come up with it as a writer and be like, this would look cool, but then you go, how am I gonna make this look? And them being kind of flat in that panel, almost like a glass panel, great way to show it. And it's not like, oh, they break or whatever after he punches it, it's their normal 3D self. It looked awesome. I'm hoping we get a little bit more of him. I was kind of nervous he was going to die off, because I like him as a character now. Obviously, he's not the nicest person, but pretty cool to watch fight.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see him develop a little bit more, and maybe, maybe it's just a thought, but, maybe he sees Maki fighting and doing her best and, like, being a little badass, and maybe he comes to think, maybe you're not such a worthless piece of shit. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe he comes around, because I think that would be some good character development, because love her. Love seeing her. Hopefully she gets some more action. And I'm excited for the next episode. I know, obviously, at the end of every Jujutsu Kaisen episode, they do you see some panels, a little voiceover. And I'm assuming we're getting some Toji and Megumi time. So we'll see what that looks like. Super pumped for this one. And Jujutsu Kaisen, as I said at the beginning, continues to hit. It's so good, so fun to watch. The style change, I like seeing all the different colors. And, yeah, this is a good one, man.
I could not agree more. Continues to be great. You should be watching if you haven't been already. And with all that being said, everyone, always remember, we'll love you, we'll leave you, and goodbye.